Hi and welcome to Glitch 2600. Who am I? Well, I'm Brian, aka Glitch, your friendly your friendly guest through all things, or host through all things geekery. Guest, host, it's all the same. It's alive, so we're gonna screw some stuff up and it's gonna be great. And you are here for a Glitch Byte, part of Vlogmas 2020. But what is Vlogmas? We'll go back to day one and we talk about it in depth, but basically it's a way for us to go live every day or to bring some content every day in December and bring you something a little bit new. For me, it's been these Glitch Bytes, which are bite-sized tips of information that you can digest normally in under 10 minutes. And then if we go longer, then that becomes a megabyte. See what I did there? So today we're going to talk about Chronosync and how to synchronize files between folders on your machine, maybe between different hard drives, or even between two different computers. This piece of software works on both PC and on Mac. It's made primarily for Mac, from what I understand. But let's flip on over and do a quick screen share so you can kind of see what's going on here. Just so you know, this is the Chronosync for Mac. Like I said, they have lots of different parts. There's Express, there's different ones out there. But for Mac, it's about $49. And then there's a Chrono agent that you can get on there too, which is what allows you to connect to it remotely. So once you buy it, you get updates for life. I've had this for a really long time and it's more than paid for itself. You can synchronize folders, you can move, you can use it for backup, which becomes really important when we talk about our Backblaze setup probably tomorrow. So having said that, I want to kind of bring up my virtual Mac and show you what Chronosync really looks like. When it first comes up, you can see I already have a few in here. And if you were to look at it, it says, hey, sync my profile between my Mac Pro, which doesn't exist anymore, and my MacBook Pro. So if I were to bring up this little synchronization, you would see it says, so it comes up, today, Junior. Of course, it's going to be slow, only because we're running everything through this, and because I went live, now it's going to say and decide to be super, super slow. Well, that's all right. That's what I get for running it inside of a virtual machine, which will be something that we'll talk about in a later one. Of course, now it doesn't want to do anything. Prepare. Oh, you gotta enjoy the lives, right? Of course, it brought up right after, but let's just do a new synchronizer. We'll just show what we can do. So this will be test, and we'll call it just a straight test. You'll notice I can choose to synchronize stuff between two folders or two volumes. I can do volumes. I can see even see my laptop there. We can manage other connections, and I can choose to either go left to right, synchronize both directions. So if it's written on one side or the other, doesn't really matter. Blind, mirror it, make it bootable from left to right. There's so many options. When it comes to synchronization, I normally like a little bit of a two-way one. If I make changes on my desktop, I want it to move to my laptop, and then changes I make on my laptop, I want to move back, and preferably ask me. So if I were to say that, here on this one, we're going to say, you know what? I want to take my archive. I have a nice little folder out here called test archive with a file inside of it. And I'm going to say, if I were to bring this little folder up, you'll see in this shared folder, I have a test MP, and there's nothing in there right now. See, it's pretty much blank. Well, instead, if I were to go, hey, let's go choose that folder. So I come in here, go into my admin folder. Actually, sorry. Go back one more. Go into my users, shared, because that's where it's at, and test MP, that empty folder, and hit select. And we're going to say synchronize, bidirectional in this case. So now that's in there, we have all sorts of options we can click in here. If we were to say, you can say dismount the volume, attempt to mount the volume if it's missing, how aggressive you want to be. but right out of the gate, it works pretty easy this way. And you can say archive replaced items. That means it'll make a little folder inside in case you're a little paranoid or worried that it's going to do anything, remove something you don't want. You can actually say archive that off. So we'll go ahead and check that. So when deleting, see how it says move to archive, or delete immediately, or just move it to trash. I'm going to tell it to go ahead and move to archive. When deleting, I'm going to say the same thing on that one. Now I can schedule this. I can do all sorts of options. So if I come down here, there's so much reporting. Do I want to report any errors to the user? Skip, abort, exclude it. Right now, I want it to pop up and tell me if you see an error, let me know. And then same thing, if there's a conflict, instead of saying I could choose always go with the newer file, always go with the older, always have a preference. Remember, one was on the right side, one was on the left side. So always have a preference for one machine. Maybe my laptop is my main one all the time, and that's what I want. I like it to ask, at least when I'm first setting it up. Now you have special file and folder permissions. You could say basic with verification. That means verify that copied data. So if I go into custom, you'll see I can check all of these other things. Do aggressive scanning, disable a safe copy, auto exclude new items, do all sorts of stuff. But really, I want it to smart scan and then copy that verified data. I want it to verify that it completed that copy successfully. Now you can archive, you could do all sorts of triggers that says, hey, if the modification date changed, then copy. I mean, there's a lot of power, and we can go way deep into this, but this is supposed to be a glitch byte, so it's supposed to be small. So I'm just showing you really quick out of the gate. You can click all of that. Click your rules. You can add rules if it requires certain names, anything extra on top of it. You can analyze to get a little idea of what it's going to do. It says, hey, I'm going to copy this README first over to that area. It's already showing what's going to happen. And then if there was anything in the archive, it would show me right here. Now, you could turn around and just save it. You can validate it. You can synchronize. This says go perform it or add to the schedule. If I said add to the schedule, it'll say, how often do I want to run this schedule? Well, right now I want it to run maybe weekly, maybe every time Chronosync launches, or every time the volume mounts, or anytime the agent becomes available. So we're going to say like this, and we're going to go ahead and leave that on and tell it to after it launches or on demand. We could do all of these different ones. We're going to say go ahead and add it. But for fun, remember we had this folder up here. If we sit here with it, now there's nothing in there, but if I hit synchronize, watch what happens. And performing quick scan, finishing up, and look, there's a nice little folder in there. You notice how we have that archived folder in there. It says how long it took. Each time it'll go a little bit faster, but right now it says, hey, it copied that folder in there. Nothing's been deleted. So if I open this, it goes, hey, follow glitch on 2600. And that's pretty cool. So now it's the same on both sides. So if I were to open up my archive folder here and the one local, see, they're both the same. So this one's living on my archive. It's in the test archive, and this is on the test Mac Pro folder. But additionally, let's say I delete that one. I go, hey, move to trash. Now it goes and knows that there's been a difference. If I wait for it, it'll go through that scheduled task, but I'm going to go ahead and tell it to synchronize right now. And once it does, it'll go back through, do that quick check, same thing, and it'll tell me what it did. You'll hear that ding. Once I do, I come over here and look, it's gone. But it did because I told it to move stuff into that archive. It put it in the archive. So that's a way for me to move between, if this was an external drive to an internal folder, I can do that between multiple folders. You can check multiple folders at that point. You don't have to have it be just one folder to one folder. You can tell it to run a job of multiples of these at the same time. Maybe grab your whole user profile and then exclude certain files or directories. But let's go one step farther and we'll go to my other local machine. So I'm remote into this machine over here that we're running Chronosync on my local machine right here. I minimize that. We have Chronosync agent running. So it can do remote connections. And if I bring that up and go in here, you'll notice there's another folder in shared called Test MacBook Pro. So we go back in here and make a new job. So we'll just make another one. File, new, synchronizer, and we'll do Test MacBook Pro. Test remote computer. Any way we want to do that. We'll say test remote. We'll take that same folder and synchronize it. So we'll still take that archive now and go, hey, that archive that's connected to it, we're going to take that test archive, select, but this time we're going to pick a computer, or we'll do that manage connections. If I were to manage these connections, you would see it knows and sees my already existing Mac laptop. I could have hit plus and have it search based on that Chrono agent. I can also do Amazon S3, Backblaze B2 buckets, SFTP. But if I go like that, it will see it on my computer. It'll notice that it's there. It notices it on my network. I've already done it though, so we're gonna skip past that. And I'm just gonna go and select my laptop. In which case it goes, hey, I'm connecting to storage. Where do you want to copy to? Where do you want to synchronize? And notice on here, it sees that Test MacBook Pro folder. So we're going to go like that. Tell it to synchronize. We're going to go ahead and do that synchronize bidirectional and archive again. Remember, we want that verification, so we're going to drop that down. And that's all we really need to do. If we were to analyze, there'll be nothing there right now. So if we save that, we could add it to schedule, but let's go ahead and save. And then, like I said, if we wanted to, we could add that to schedule and say, hey, same thing. But anytime the Chrono agent comes online, we could say that and have it sync now. So as part of that schedule, we could go in there and go, hey, anytime that remote machine sees the Chrono agent, anytime the agent becomes available, go ahead and sync. And that's what we're going to say is go ahead and sync anytime you see that agent come available. Like I said, there's nothing in there right now. So if we were going to go ahead and click this, we'll minimize that so you can see. And we'll copy this to the archive folder. This little folder right there. Bring back up our synchronization and really our test remote, and we'll tell it to go ahead and synchronize. You see it already sees a difference there? If I were to bring this up, we'll see it pop in. It's already there. It sees that it's changed. And look at that. We've got our second one that we can bring that says, hey, that's a fun message. Don't forget to subscribe. But just like I said before, if we wanted to, we come in here, see it still sees that no archive there because it hasn't talked between these before. It hasn't had anything deleted from it. So if we come here, do that same thing again, we move this to the trash. Now we want it to kick off automated. So what I'm going to do is come up here, stop the Chrono agent. And we'll use my password. Continue. Yeah, we know. It says, hey, you know that there's stuff going there? Go, yep. Now we go ahead and start it. Because it's looking for those active jobs. Of course, I haven't tested this one in a while because I'm rebuilding the machine. When it comes online, we should see it make a connection. We should start looking for it. Of course, I show one error because I killed off the connection. So as soon as that scheduler sees it, it should kick that off. When an agent becomes available. You should see that. Come on. When an independent agent. Yep. Oh, well, probably helps if I say that one. Now we take it offline and back online and it would show up. So let's go ahead and stop that. Sorry, this byte is going a little longer than normal. But I think it's useful. We're going to start it back up. See if it actually makes a connection. It's a little tricky because we're playing this through virtuals, through a network, so it's going to play and not always work as well as it would if there was two computers and it sees it on the network. It would eventually grab that and see that schedule. Because it should trigger that, especially if I tell it hourly. Right now it's not looking for a whole lot there. So, once, okay. Well, either way, you click save, and normally it would go ahead and synchronize. We're going to tell it to go ahead and synchronize manually. Most of the time it'll kick off. That's me playing around there. And it should see that connection if I drop up here. That might be why, because it's not actually seeing the connection. And we'll see if we can get that to connect. One or more targets not available. I don't believe that. Let's hit connect. Now it sees it, of course. And now that it sees it, connect. Which means it automatically, if we come back over here, normally would see that and kick that off. We're going to tell it to go ahead and synchronize. In which case you'd see that it archived over there. Move that out, back in there. So it's a good way to keep your files in sync and connected. You can automate it. It works a little bit better when you're not using a virtual machine. But that just kind of gives you a quick hint and tip of what you can do with the power of Chronosync. Yes, you can do so much more in copying, your files, your folders, your drives between each other. Make those verified file copies. Have it compare up and see what's new. So if you don't know, you can tell it, hey, only copy stuff that's been modified in the last year. So that's a good way to, consolidate in hard drives, especially with that data verification. So Chronosync with Chronosync agent gives you the power to be able to synchronize your files. Imagine multiple laptops synchronizing to one to be able to back up to an online solution. Maybe we'll talk about that tomorrow when we talk about Backblaze. So stay tuned tomorrow. Don't forget, you can like and subscribe and follow us on the YouTube down below. Use that link. We'd love to have you back if you enjoy these types of tips. I guarantee you most of the time they're a little bit shorter. This was a big topic, so there was a little bit more, plus the machine was acting a little slow, but that's okay because that's how computers work. And it just doesn't matter. But either way, I hope you guys had a great time. I had a great time. I hope you stop back out tomorrow for another Glitch Byte, and I'll see you then. All right, bye.